Life is good 13. 13 love to y'all. You are creation 13. I'm a pastor. I'm Starseed. And today I want to talk to you about idols. Pretty much the fascination that humanity has with all these idols that are around the world. You know, there's literally statues all over the world. Um, and pretty much what I got written down here is the statues that people use. Um, and humans seem to be fascinated um, with these concepts. Um, and humans seem to want to look at these idols as a form of ancestors. You know, if you go through the whole New Age scenario, or even I talk about it myself, I talk about the ancestors. And, you know, people seem to express that the idols that we have here are the ancestors. And you have to look at the perception of story and history over story and a story over story. Or someone's trying to create something to keep you away from the main story. This is where all the idols come into play. You know, it specifically says in the Bible, do not worship any idols. And I talked about this in my last idol video that I made not too long ago. And, you know, don't worship any idols. But we have idols all over the world, and people worship them. They feel they have to be respectful to these idols. You know, they have to be respectful. You know, and you know, my question is why do you have to be respectful to a rock? Okay, it's just a character. You know, it would be saying, it'd be like, I think I did this example in the other video. It would be like if there was a statue of me and people worship me. If I learned, you know, say if I was not on this world no more, and then all of a sudden I showed up and I learned that there was a statue of me, I would be disgusted and would say, what are you doing? You do not need to be worshiping no idol. And that's pretty much what the world does, you know, especially in, you know, religion and New Age. They seem to be paying respects to these idols without looking at the history of the idols. They're only looking at the story, or the cultural value of these statues. Um, and you have to look past that. A lot of these New Age Team Light people seem to want to accept everything. You know, just accept it all. You know, this is where part of the hidden agenda is to accept everything and become one. When that totally goes against what needs to change the world. You know, you accept and allow the old way of living to continue on, then you're not changing anything. You're either prolonging the change, or you're just creating more of that dividing. And pretty much that's what I'm showing you on this here is, you know, this is us, and we are surrounded by these idols. And there's a lot of them, and I couldn't even write them all down, but these are the main ones. You know, each human or culture, the world itself is overthrown by these idols. You know, these idols with it create a story. You know, the main one being the God character. Okay, and you have to define this word. Oh my gosh, you have to redefine this word. But God is a deity, or a um a source. It's not meaning universally it's the God of the world. And if you read through the Bible, you realize that it is in the deity of control over the earth. Um, and they say over the heavens, but that storyline is intertwined with the fallen angels. So the God character is intertwined with the fallen angels, which is also Bethamont, Lucifer, the Lightbringer, Satan. You know, they're intertwined together. It was lost in translation, but pretty much like I said, you know, the Bible is teaching you about the death and resurrection of Satan. As hard as that is to believe, you have to do your research because it really pinpoints all these things. I had to look up Bethamont to know how it was spelt, and I ended up spelling Behemoth or something like that, Behemoth. But I guess that word is in the Bible, and they thought it was related to like a big creature, like a elephant or some of that nature. But if you translate a little more, it's Bethamont. So they talk about the Bethamont character. But again, you know, it's just doing research is endless. So, you know, you have to redefine all these words. You can't just go by this word and then a story that someone created. You know, one of the key things that, you know, astonishes me that people don't realize is with the Jesus character, the Vatican's really try extremely hard to make the Jesus character that they created real. Okay, this is, you know, if you look throughout history on how they've tried to make that character real is just astonishing. Because they try to pinpoint it with the figure or model that they portray throughout religion. You know, as a white person with a beard and a mustache and long hair. You know, they try to distinguish that as their idol for people to worship, and they really try to make it be that way. But again, if you look through history, and if it was really pinpointed in Israel and all that, there's absolutely no way Jesus would be a Caucasian person. No way. And I think I mentioned this in my other video of idols. I went to a Mormon church or whatever, and ended up talking to some people, and I told them there's absolutely no way Jesus was a white person, you know, a Caucasian person. And they're like, well, he traveled around the world. I was like, okay, no, that can't be right, because if that were true, if he was a Caucasian person, that means that he would have been born in the Greek Roman era, so he wouldn't have been part of Islam and Jerusalem. They wouldn't have been part of that. So he would have been Roman. So if he was Roman, that redefines the story, and there's something a little different in there. And therefore, you know, you got the Jews and everything, the Jews which were the Romans. So therefore, they would be Caucasian colored. So that would mean that Jesus was born into the Roman Empire, and he was supposed to be the ruler over the Roman Empire. And it's just a mess. It really is. So, like, you know, like I said, you know, you gotta do your research. So, you know, with all these things here, what do we got here? We got God, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahovah, which is Satan, which I learned. You also got Satan, Lucifer, which translates into Lightbringer, which is the most astonishing thing to me. You know, we got all these people proclaiming to be light workers, and yet we got Lucifer, the light bringer. So you have to redefine yourself again. You can't call yourself a light worker, because you have to distinguish yourself. You know, you say, oh, I'm a light worker. Oh, you work for Lucifer? And they'll be like, no. Well, then redefine yourself. What are you working for? Well, I'm a light worker. You can't do that. So you have to redefine yourself. Is that looking deeper into the thing? Yes, because again, if you just label something and say this is how it is, it totally it totally beats the purpose of redefining and changing the world, because you're not willing to break through the barriers or the limits that humanity has planned for itself or has created for itself. So yeah, and then we got Bethamont, which again, if you do a lot of research on Bethamont, Bethamont was actually a character that was used as a way of acknowledging the different aspects of self. And I was reading a little bit about it, and I'll do some more research, maybe make a video about it. But the head itself on the Bethamont was used as the sinful nature, or the beastly essence of a human, and how you can be hateful, deceitful, how the mind allows it to take control over you. You allow the beast to take control over you. The Bethamont was used as a just an image to bring out or redefine different aspects of self. And somewhere down the road, um, it ended up becoming a worshiping tool, and then ended up becoming a Satan tool or a Lightbringer tool. Whatever the case may be, this is exactly why idols are the absolute. It's just something that needs to go away, because it gets distorted, and stories get created over it, and it just allows people to worship those idols. And that's just how humanity keeps trapping itself and creating idols of the world instead of looking within. Like I said, everything is about spirit, everything is about what is within you, and creating into the world and expanding upon it, not getting trapped into these idols. So anyway, so you got Baphomet, ETs, one of the hugest ones that are also being worshipped. And you really have to look at the aspect of ETs, extraterrestrials, the stories behind them. What are they? Who are they? Things like that. The Greys are pretty much the main deals here on this earth, because they are what? Part of the fallen angels. They are the demons. Now, are they all bad? No, they're not, because they're just like us. They're trapped here. There's good and evil within this world. So there's good and bad demons here. The Greys are the demons. Fallen angels. And then you gotta wide span that. Kind of wide span that. And look at all the different races of extraterrestrials that we have down here. And you also got to pinpoint of all of the genetic manipulation that the world has also gone through, because we have many different creatures and species down here that are perceived human-like. We may not see them all because they're underground. But that's a different story. So anyways, and then you got also higher selves. Higher selves, again, mistranslated. Now, you have to look at the aspect of what is a higher self. Maybe I'll make another video about higher selves. But basically, the main concept of higher selves is people seem to pinpoint it as, and again, I talked about this before, as Anunnaki self, Arcturian self, so on and so forth. It's the basic meaning behind it is that you are collecting and connecting all of the aspects that you already have within you. So it's not a different entity. It's just you're aligning yourself with what you were. As I've been doing a lot of research and everything, from my experience, when you unlock that aspect of self, you merge with that self. But basically, you're already merged to begin with. So say if you discover your Arcturian self, and remember the majority of it, you've opened that doorway. So now you're connected to it again. You know, it was taken, that connection was taken away from you, so now you're connected back to it. So it starts aligning yourself and making yourself more of a higher aspect of self, a smarter self, a more aware self. That's basically what it is. So again, you don't have to worship, you don't have to thank your higher selves, because they're all you. It's just an aspect that you just opened up. And this is where you have to give yourself credit, is saying, yes, I did this. And you know, is there ghosts and entities, everything surrounding us? Yes, there is. Um, and a lot of it is also part of the shadow aspect within ourselves, because everything within reflects outside self as well. So you interact with a lot of your self. Again, I've talked about that with shadow beings and things of that nature, is you're interacting with self, because you're trapped in your own box. You literally are. So you're trying to get out of that box, which is why these are the top main box traps, which is right here. Respecting these idols, these gods, okay? The only thing, like I talked about before, is the Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are the true guardians of this world, and you need to respect them, because they are the ones that helped created. They are the ones that helped created this Earth and took care of this, not only this Earth, but the solar system and many other solar systems. They are the ones you need to respect, and they are not part of this. Little bits and pieces of them are in there, but they aren't truly a part of this. And this is where a lot of humans get confused. You know, they never look at the possibilities that there is a Guardians of the Galaxy. There is a huge alliance that is out there, multi-dimensional alliance that is out there. Because, like I said, I think it was my previous video, I talked about on how if you go out into outer space, time is still, and you also end up just furthering yourself away from the illusion. You go deeper into the illusion. So that wall has to break through, and the only way you can break through is breaking through the levels of vibrations, the levels of frequency. Basically, you can look at your DNA structure as a wavelength, or you can look at it as a voltage charge. There we go, as a voltage charge. So say your computer, just say your computer, I don't know what it is. We'll just say your computer needs 15 volts, right? To get that charge. But if your voltage point is only at a 10, you're never going to reach that full charge. So to break through the barrier, you need to go beyond it. You know, you need to either rewire the thing, make it get to that level, make it get to that 15th level. And that's what you're doing to yourself, is raising your vibration. But what is raising your vibrations? Is changing and manipulating your DNA structure, and also unlocking and merging yourself with your higher aspects, which is all your memories that you have within you, that you have within your heart, within your soul, within your spirit. You know, you have to put all these things together and not look outside yourself. You know, not look at all these idols. You know, you don't need to respect these. You question these things. And people get so insulted when you don't respect these idols. When, like I said again, the Bible says do not worship idols. So they contradict themselves. And it just astonishes me, you know. And going around the world, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, look at this temple, look at this, look at this, look at this, and look at this, and look at this. You know, it fascinates people and it astonishes people, because it's new, but I think it astonishes people more because there is a story behind it. Just like if I travel anywhere, I observe it. I don't look towards the history value of the place I visit. I go view and observe it. Um, and I don't fall into that aspect of someone came and asked me, oh, do you believe in this? Do you believe in that? I'm honest with them. I say, um, this is a tool that was used. Um, but I talk to them and lead them into that into that direction. And if they don't go into that direction in talking, then I don't bother talking to them. But it's the simple matter is that when you go to each place around the world, you don't want to look at the story that's connected to it. You want to observe why it's that way in the first place. It doesn't hurt to question anything. I always ask questions, always observe, um, and look at and ask questions. Why is it this way? People get so frustrated with me when I do that. I was doing this science project with my son, and my mom was helping me or helping him, uh, because when I explain things, I go into great detail on things, and that's exactly what I did. And I just ended up frustrating my mom, but that's just how I am. I never just stick with something because I have my own way of looking at things, and if there's a simpler way to do something, or if there's a different way to do it, I'm going to do it that way, despite what the instructions say. Because sometimes the instructions are either too simplified or it doesn't make sense. So I will redefine the instruction booklet, that suits what I understand about it, and that's what I was doing because my son, when he was doing a magnetic or making a magnet, and they wanted him to write down each way of how he did it, and my mom was like, well, just write down what it says on there, because basically it was pretty much what he was doing. But to me, that was just writing down what was already written down. As an individual person, I don't want to get off track here, but as an individual person, you'd want to write down what you experience or what your mind would be like at that age. So anyways, yeah, I ended up getting into it with my mom, so I was like, all right, I'll just leave it to you and my son. So I had my mom help my son, but the very point of that, and the reason why that got brought up in my path is for this video, is to bring up the realization, that people can get so trapped up in the stories that they can't move past the stories. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end on that. So really view and observe all the idols around the world. Observe these names: God, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Satan, Lucifer, which is Lightbringer, Bethlehem, ETs, higher selves. Look at all these things and observe them as a whole, and ask yourself, how do you view these subjects here? Do you view these based on stories, or do you view these um, based on history? And history is discovering the history that was lost in translations. That's what the internet's for, is to go and do your own research and put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Blend all the stuff together. Blend all the stuff together and intertwine it all together. Connect them all. It's just like the basic thing, is mash them together, and just matching them and just realizing that they are the same thing. And it's it's uncanny, it really is. Man, like I said, humanity has really trapped themselves in with all these aspects. So it's up to you what you guys want to do, whether you follow belief structure or whatever. But I highly encourage you to look past these stories and look past the concept that we need to accept everything. We need to look at moving past all this and creating a new. Um, and that in itself is also very corrupt. They talk about the New World Order. Um, and you have to have change, but you have to move beyond change. And you also have to move away from all of these idle things, because that also is part of the light bringer agenda too. Like I talked about before, they're using the triangle eye, they're using the eye of Ra as their new idol. They're really trying to push that, and they're really trying to distinguish that. Um, and again, I talked about that in a previous video. Is they're trying to create this new idol for you to worship again, to make you fall into that victim, when all you need is to learn about spirit, become one with spirit. That is your idol. You have your built-in idol right here. Your spirit, your soul. That's it. That's all you need. You do not need a physical thing to look at. So yeah, so I keep going. So hopefully this video helps you guys, gives you something, a new way to look at life. Like I said, you go visit Egypt, you go visit Japan, China, whatever it may be. Don't go ooh and ah about the scenery. Go, this is interesting. Well, why is it this way? What is the true story than the story that they've given us? Have that mindset. Because I guarantee you, if you have that mindset, you're going to look at everything differently. And it's going to change your perspectives and look on how people react towards their idols and their belief structures. You will see it within their eyes that they feel that those are over them. That stuff is over them, and they're just sheep following a blanket that is overthrowing them, basically sheltering them and smothering them and allowing them to expand out. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyways, I'm going to end on that. If you got any questions, let me know. Again, I'm trying to get online to start talking with people. Still haven't had time yet, so I don't know if it's just not meant for me to do it yet. I don't know, but I'm going to keep trying to get online. Again, if you see me online on Google Hangout or whatever, just feel free to just click on it, and if I'm there, I'll come talk to you. If not, I'll try again. But anyways, yeah, so hopefully this video helps you, and just always look at life differently. That's pretty much all I gotta say. So love yourself, keep shining bright, remember spirit, remember soul. That's life right there. That is everything right there. So yeah, so talk to you in a little bit.